Good afternoon, viewers. Thank you for joining us on today's live midday show live on Equa Television. And today we are going to look at the country Peru. And then before we go into that country, Peru, we want to sincerely appreciate our viewers, being with us throughout last year, following the program, commenting, and then sharing your own view and what you feel about the program. It was really great knowing that we interact with you and you love the program. So many comments about how the program was impactful. Honestly, we are here just to give you nothing but the best on this show, the Midday Show Live. And we want to sincerely welcome you again to this new year, starting fresh. This is the first edition, coming up today, 11th of January 2022. And we're promising you that we are not going to water it down. We promise you that from now henceforth, so many innovations will come on the show. We will do our possible best to see that we make the show very interesting in such a way that it will be easy for us to relax, watch, and then be informed on the show. My name is Sambo Solomon Sabe, and together with me is Sele Elisha, a fresh face on the show.
Yeah.
Sele, how are you?
Fine, thank you. Good afternoon, viewers. Happy to be here. Yeah.
Are you happy to be on the show?
I have to be excited, because it's not easy. Just like we told our viewers, this is going to be a fresh episode coming this year, so they should be expecting lots and lots of new packages coming up there with lots of countries will be anticipating to visit. So I really need to be excited because it's a privilege to be alive today, so I need to be happy.
Yes, it's a privilege to be alive, and it's a privilege for us to interact with you, knowing that you are following this program. You made it one of your best, and that is the oil that we need to keep us moving, knowing that you love the program and you are always with us. And I want you to know that we are live on our social media handle. You can watch us on Facebook and then the YouTube channel. We are live so that you can throw your comment and tell us how you feel about the show. Like I said earlier today, we're going to look at the country Peru. And we look at the activities there, what they do, what kind of people, what's the population, the location, and the rest. The program is meant to just inform us and educate us about certain things. Yes, some may have been there, some they are just hearing that for the first time, and then some is just going to be a refresher to them. So follow us gradually as we go into the country Peru. Sele.
So now we will be looking at officially the Republic of Peru, and its location is actually at the Western South America, because we know where in Western South America we have other countries such as Brazil and also Argentina. So this is a country that when you're looking for culture, you're anticipating, like excited, also looking at landscape. I mean, the country to really visit is Peru. And also, the capital is Lima, because for those who have never been there, the capital of Peru is Lima. And also, another thing we need to look at is their population, because Peru actually have a population of over 32 million people. So, that it's quite a large country sure. Looking at the landscape and also in, just like I said, in culture. They have a very rich culture in Peru. And another thing we need to know about the country Peru is their currency, because for people who, it's a country that you really be so excited, like immediately you see Peru, like it's something that you'll be excited to visit. If you're looking for somewhere to go for tourism also, Peru is a country you really, really need to visit. So just as we'll be going gradually, you see lots of tourist sites. Possibly when you find yourself in Western South America, Peru is a country you should actually be looking out to visit.
Yes, yes, you are right, Sele. When you look at South American countries, they are rich. Rich when you talk about culture. They have their own history, and they preserve them even, before colonization, and then talking about civilization today. Culture there is really rich. Let's look at the government. The government of Peru is a unitary state, and then the presidential representative democratic republic with a multi-party system. I love that issue of multi-party system. I think is one of the things that I so much love with time permits, or how the government stability in the polity, in the sense that when it's been practiced, you just see just two party being so prominent, and then whatever that we have there, we have the men. You have a lot of white, which constitute like 60.2%. Then we have the 5%, and then we have Africans descent, which take 3.6%. Then you have others, 60%. Then you have is taking 11.1%.
Exactly. Peru is one of the largest countries when it comes to Western South America. And we said that's after Brazil and Argentina. And then it said its border is in the north by Ecuador and Colombia, and then east by Brazil, just like I earlier said. And another thing about Peru is one of the most biodiverse countries on the planet. Because when you're looking at its culture, just like you've listed, we're looking at mixed Americans. You wonder how comes we're having Africans there. But back then when the Spanish were there, because there was a Spanish conquest in Peru, so that's when we had some slaves that were taken from Africa down over there. So we tend to see that their culture, just like we said, they are rich in culture. So they get to have some mixed American, white, and also Africans there, making it a very great and biodiverse country there. And then we said Peru is the 19th largest country in the world and the 3rd largest in South America. So when you're looking at the country Peru, it's somewhere that you really anticipate to visit, because they have this wonderful, and also looking at their cultures, looking at plants, looking at animals. I mean, when we go down, while we're discussing, we get to realize that there's some animals that are just unique in Peru. You won't find them any other place at all, possibly because of some animals are going on extinct and all. Because based on my research, you realize Amazon forest. That is one of the largest forests that we really need to anticipate to visit if you are looking for a place for tourist sites.
Yes, and when you talk about that, a country that is not educated, definitely, there will be backwardness. And one thing with Peru, I look at their system of education. It's something to really emulate, because if you find out other countries that we checked, like their system, yes, they have similarity, but you find out that when their policies towards it, there's a particular thing they tag when it comes to the early stage of school. You find that most are saying free, but in Peru you have education in Peru is under the jurisdictions of the Ministry of Education, which oversees formulation, implementation, and supervision the national education policy. And then, according to the Constitution of Peru, education is compulsory. It's compulsory. And then from primary school to secondary school, even to the higher institution, high
public sector,
public level, but they are brilliant. So for you going further, short, the Constitution have no matter what happened, you can continue. They pay for the student, so they take care of it, and that blows my mind. And then I just feel like, yes, it is important. We should be thinking of people like that in the society, that government should create space and accommodate them so that they will feel, yes, not because I'm coming from this background, that's the reason why I couldn't achieve, or I cannot achieve, my dream.
Yeah, it's really something very awesome, because we're looking at promoting education. And I know even in other parts of the country, we have where scholarship are being given to special students that are very intelligent, but their parents cannot afford. So it's something Peru government is really trying its best, looking at giving special package to those who cannot afford, and also looking at its economy. Because when we look at education, it will now take us down to the economy. Just like we were discussing earlier, we said that word, looking at its culture, and we said that in their economy, tourism is also one of the top important part of Peruvian's economy, because without tourism, because lots of people troop into Peru, even not because of the COVID-19, you see that we have lots of tourists visiting Peru to see the site, looking at the Nasi lines. It's characterized by a very high level of largest economy in the world by the total GDP and capital of Peru, while commodity exports. Because later when we look at, we see that they are really diversified, because they're being potato, but of the economy of Peru.
And number of countries in the world. By that, you will know that the country is really doing what they do in and out. And then the statistic about people, different race in Peru, because that's import and export the country. And then you just producers of in the world. When you
actually tell how much comes into Peru's economy.
Very good in the production of grain, considerably sure that all of the, if you talk about agriculture, there's some machine, the packaging, trust me, somebody will be going in this on this show. Do those activities really bring food? On all of these activities, it makes the people.
We look at their midday activity called cattle moving, and when you look at the lifestyle of those, the elites, those, and another unique thing about them is that those in the middle class involved in about 2 to 3 jobs, because they need to provide for their families and all that. When we look at those, the elites, those ones have people who work for them. So you see them mostly they have a nap time during 12.
Yes.
But when you are in the middle class, I mean, you don't have that time to go to bed, because you're thinking about the next job you need to run into. And then when you go, mostly when it comes to their mode of communication, mostly when you go to rural area, they don't understand English perfectly.
Yes, they don't.
Because most of them don't really get opportunity. But when you go to the city, they only speak English in the hotels and in the restaurant. So you know that Peruvian culture is really very rich, because they really make sure that they keep their mother tongue, because they need to pass it to the next generation. Because we're already having researchers studying that lots of religions now are talking about our mother tongue are going extinct. So it's something I really, I say the Peruvian, I really applaud them for. Because when you look at the way they do their daily living, their lifestyles, the way they make sure that they eat together, that's another beautiful thing about them. Family time is important.
It's very, very
important
yes.
to Peruvian. So then they have their dinner together, their breakfast together. So it's something you can't take away from any Peruvian when it comes to family time, because they take it very, very important.
Yes, and you see, you talk about the family. You see that family value, whatever you are looking for in a country, it starts from that family unit, and they recognize that the bond starts there, the values start there, and then you see that's the reason why earlier we talked about the rich culture that you can find there, and then looking at that gives you an idea why they speak English in selected areas. Because why? Like you mentioned, the mother tongue is very important. Once you are intelligent, you are good with your mother tongue, it is easier for you to translate better, in other language, particularly the general, accepted, which is English. Even research have shown that. That's why, in some places you find out, like Nigeria. I remember one time they said peoples from people should be taught in that first stage in their mother tongue. Then from there, gradually, you now graduate to English, explaining to them this is what it means when you see this, in their mother tongue. So it gives them that that space, to really explore, because already in their mother tongue, they understand that deeply. So they won't struggle. They won't struggle, when it comes to English. And that's when I see that, I said, yes, this is something that is commendable. We can't just throw away our own foundation and then
embrace.
Yes, and that's why you see their culture. It's still like fresh. Nothing. You can't say that it's diluted, something like that. And then from there, you can see how the flow. It's easy. There's no break because they believe they are one. This is who they are, and then this is the purpose. So in achieving their goals and their purpose, collectively, starting from the family to the highest hierarchy, that is the government, this is the way to go. And which is key. It's important, and then it's really helping.
Most Peruvians get involved in sports. And then other sports, you also see them involved in cockfighting too. These are part of the activities we meet Peruvian during the midday. They involve in, if they are not farming in the rural area, they involve in sports. And they make sure these are also embedded into their when I talk about their school activities, just like we're looking at their mother tongue that is being taught from the initial stage. Also, you look at sports. It's part of the extracurricular activities they get involved in. So mostly like the elite. So if you find them not actually in their place of work, they're actually maybe viewing the bullfighting or the cockfighting, and it's another way of, recreational activities for them in that area. So it's really something the Peruvians are really, really trying, like looking at catching fun is something that is very important to them. So, because they're very friendly people. So anyone that comes around Peruvian, they get to be involved in things that they are mostly involved in. If they are not working as an elite, they're the farmers, rural people.
Yes, talking about sport, you can't take away football, from their activities. They are known and being recognized. I think, for the sport lovers, particularly footballers, that stage, give them an edge. People know them through sport. That is when people started researching on who are these people, from which part of the country, and then who really they are. Peruvians, they love football very well, which the biggest competition of football when it comes to South America is Copa America. And then they were able to win 2 times. They have been in the competition several times, but they won twice. Just of a recent, after the competition is Argentina, where Emmacie came from. That's the country that won the last one. We don't know this year which country, but it's highly competitive. Highly competitive. I can remember when Brazil is part of that area, Argentina, and when you talk about global football, you can't take away them. And then they are very, very pronounced when it comes to football in that South America. So those giant countries that are even playing well in the global stage, they are coming together again. From the same region to compete. So everybody is like, yes, let me prove my worth. Let me show that, yes, in this region, yes, I know there's Brazil, there's Argentina, there's Colombia, and the rest of the countries that they are doing well in football. Let me prove a point. So they're able to win twice. And then when it comes to representing the country in the global stage, that's FIFA World Cup, they appear in that global stage 5 times. Yes, 5 times. Because if you check the competition when it comes to the qualifying process to qualify for that big stage. You have to go through so many prelims, you know, from one grouping to the other. Then you keep cutting, keep cutting, and then you have different countries coming from different yes, like Africa continent. Yes, that's how you see the representation from every continent. The countries will come and then they compete. So you can imagine, you know, since inception, they were able to appear on that 5 times, where some people are even struggling
yet to
since inception to just represent appear once, you know.
Yes.
So when it comes to football, like you said, they love it, and it's really, really putting them up there. Yes.
All right, so let's move on to some of the stories attraction, because you said that Peru is one of those.
You didn't really want me to talk about this.
No. You know, Solo, you love football a lot.
Okay.
So let's not divert from our love for Peru to football.
But you established the fact that they love sports, so I just picked it.
Activities we made them, and we've established the fact that Peruvians love football. So possibly, Solo, we will look into how we can maybe sponsor you to move to Peru, possibly so that you can boost their morale when it comes to football.
Yeah, and I think I will play well. I'm a footballer. Okay. I'm a striker.
Really?
Yes.
That would be great and beautiful. Well, I think we would love to look at some of the tourist attraction. But before we move to some of the tourist attraction, I think let's take a tea break. And when we come back, we'll look at some of the tourist attraction in Peru. Just stay with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back. You're still on to the Midday Show live. I'm Stella Elisha, and with me in the studio has been Solo Sambo, and we have been looking at this great and beautiful country, Peru, and we've established where it's located, which is at the southern part of America, and also we said it's the largest after Brazil and Argentina. And we've been looking at some of the midday activities they involve in such as farming activities, football, and lots of things that they get involved in. And we would like to move on now to some of the tourist attraction in Peru, because it's somewhere you really need to behold, because they have lots and lots of beautiful places in Peru. So, Solo.
Yeah, okay. I know since from the beginning we established that there's a lot of tourist sites. So I know people have been waiting to, particularly those that have interest when it comes to issue of tourism, because some people would like to know, okay, what about this country? Maybe should I pin it down, as a place to visit this year? Or why not? We have they have Chancha, which is translated as sun. It is the world's largest adobe city. It is also a largest pre-colonial Colombian city in the Americans. Developed around 1300 AD as the capital of the Chinu Kingdom. I like that name, Chinu Kingdom. It sounds like an African name, though. Visitors can easily spend hours exploring the extensive site, which is made up of blazers, streets, houses, gardens, temples, and then reservoirs. These are even mostly this is where Chinchu kings were buried, and along with their wives and their riches.
Yes, I think that was way back before civilization, you know. So
Yes.
this is something that is very unique when it comes to the chant, because when you look at the way their practices, way back before we had the British conquest, they have what they believe in. They have their gods they believe in. And so as a king, it's expected that when you're done with your service here on earth, you are being buried with your wife, possibly your concubines, your kids, and even your riches, because they believe in the world after. So it's one of the tourist sites that, even though, just like we've established, civilization have taken place.
Yes.
Even talking about evangelism has gotten them. That's why we can see that they have about 60% of Roman Catholics, and also a good amount of when it comes to other religions,
yes.
talking about believing in Christ. So it's something that is really commendable. When you look at the site, it's a sight to behold. Very beautiful places when you look at the Chan Kingdom.
Yeah, you see, when I was looking at that, this particular one, Sele, you know, so many things happened in the past. Thank God for Jesus Christ that He came. You can imagine, because I live my life and then it is time for me to go, and then everything, let me put it this way, like everything is going with me. My wealth, everything. I can't really imagine, but we bless God. You know, that's why you find out that, yes, people love to visit that place to see how it were.
Yes, and another tourist site to behold is the Icon train. If you're going to set yourself any challenge in life, it will be to walk the Icon trail as the most famous trail in South America and one of the most popular tourist activities in Peru. This all-challenging trail allows hikers to follow in the footsteps of the ancient Icon people. It's long, and above all, it's amazing. And you know, Peruvians are proud of the remnants of the Ica culture that exists to this day, because when you go, the Icon is somewhere that is very beautiful. You could see some very old structures. And it's something that Peruvians are very proud of till this day. It's somewhere that lots of tourists want to visit and see what is so unique and what is so unique and extraordinary about this Icon tree. So it's really somewhere that possibly, if you're looking at a place to visit, is.
And you have the Chacacaro, you know, their names, you know, they have how it sound, you know, people from that south, Chacacaro, people from that part of the world, you know, built in the late 15th century. Chacacaro supposedly Santa, it was used as a refuge for Inca forces flying in the siege of Cusco, in many other battles today. And then the reigns of Chacacaro still contain a number of impressive sites. B1, though, getting there involved 2 days hike from the nearest village.
Exactly, because if you really want to, you know, walk, just like I spoke about the Icon train, the Chacacaro is another place that if you really want to, even though it looks, you have to prepare yourself to trek for like 2 days.
2 days.
If you're fast, you know, but it's really a sight to behold, because you really love the Chacacaro. It's a very wonderful and a beautiful place that it should be one of the places that if you find yourself in Peru, you try and visit that place. It's really a
but
sight
you know, you have to be strong. If you are not strong, I don't see the possibility of that. But still yet, you know, despite, you know, the stress involved in it, you can see people still trooping, like so many people trooping. If you see the statistics, you know, of people visiting that place, you know, just for tourism, you will see that yes, people are really determined and they really want to go there and see for themselves. When reading about that, seeing, you know, the stretch of the trekking that someone would do, that reminds me of the almighty Donkin Hill, which Aqua, as a denomination, by the grace of God, were able to establish 5 mission station there through the EMS of Equa. You know, that place is, for you to get there, they have special donkeys that that they use there. You don't use anything, only aeroplane location. And 3 days, you know, if I'm so when I some of us here, you know, in this station, we have the experience of that. So I begin to just dive myself into it and said, oh wow, so if people can really do that for the sake of, yes, let me see what really is happening there. I think it's important as you are going, have it at the back of your mind, particularly if you are Christian, you know, that as you go there, share the gospel. Exactly. Because it's very important. Yes, it's very important. So that you will not just go trek 2 days back and then come back without sharing
anything about
gospel.
Christ to people
you
there.
Understand?
Yes, another place we need to, you know, see is the Casa de Emancipación. And this is the site where Peru planned and declared its independence from Spain. You know, you spoke about the Spain conquest. And they said this occurred on the 29th of December, 1820. After which the Casa became the home of Peru's first government. So in case, just like we said, this program is meant to educate people. So just in case you don't know when, we just told you now that our Casa became the home of Peru's first government. And it's really a very beautiful site, just like we've said. It's somewhere that you would love to, to visit, to know that where was the first independence taking place after the Spain conquest and all that, what happened after them. So it's really a place that people should really, visit. And I think Peru is becoming one of my favorite countries because when you really look at the activities, the culture, it's lovely and good.
Something to behold.
Yeah, behold it.
Okay, we have the Chachila. The Chachila Cemetery, this ancient Nazca burial ground in the southern coastal town of Nazca, dated back to 100 AD in the and it contained one of the most open display of mummified bodies in existence. The mummies are incredibly well preserved, wrapped in the original cloth in which they were laid to rest. Each faces east in accordance with the Naka culture, and they are sitting upright too. And did you picture that?
Yeah, I picture it because when you're talking about mummies, because I think another country that actually is known for all this preservation of mummies is Egypt. It's another country you can also behold.
Egypt, yeah.
So I think it's something that the Peruvians do not want to forget their culture or where they are coming from, possibly the kings that ruled before their independence from the British. So I think it's really something that the Peruvians really love, and so for them to remember their kings it's important that they preserve the mummies. And when you go, the mummies are still in their clothes that they were buried.
Yes.
Their faces are faced to a particular way. Now you begin to ask, why is the faces faced to the east? There's something unique about the reason why they did that. But it's something that if you really want to see, maybe possibly some of the kings that ruled back then, some of the slaves, and we mentioned about some of the kings that have been buried with their wives, their wealth and all that. So it's something they really need to preserve so that the bodies do not decay, and so that generations to come will know where they're coming from. Lineage is important too.
It's true.
So they need to know their culture and everything about their traditions.
Now we talked about the tourism aspect of Peru, and I feel it's important, before we wrap up, can we just look at their cuisine, look at their food,
Becoming
what are
hungry.
they good? You are becoming hungry?
Yeah, as a result of the food, you said.
Sele, you like food. You like food.
Who doesn't love food? I mean, we all love food.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. It's not like you love food.
It's love.
Okay. It's good. It's good to love food. It's good. I'm fasting today.
Okay. Since you love food, let me start with the first meal.
I'm fasting today.
Please keep praying. Let me start with the
That's
first
why I'm
meal.
finding it difficult to
mention.
look at the issue of food today, because there's a
Let
way.
me eat on your behalf.
Okay, no
So
problem.
let me mention the first food I would love to eat. We have the Peruvian kushi, and this is a diced fish with lots of lemon, garnished with red onions, chopped cinnamon, fresh seafood, giving it a pleasant and appetizing presentation. It has a perfect texture and an explosion of flavors. I mean, can you picture that food? It's great and beautiful, looking at the diced fish. So it's some of the meals that, Peruvians eat. And it's something very, just like you're talking about the flavor, it has a striking presentation. The moment you behold that food, our viewers can see the meal. It's looking lovely and great, and it's something you will love to eat. Possibly, solo is fasting, you will not love to look at the food so much. So it's one of the lovely food that Peruvians eat.
That's why I will just allow you to do the food thing, because I don't want to. Most of its ingredients are salted in a wok for a short time on a very high flame. The finally miced meat in a very juicy and has a pleasant aroma. Already I'm even perceiving, the aroma, and then salt. Yes, the only problem that we have is the salt.
Yeah, let's look at another meal, possibly.
Yes.
Another meal I would love to eat there is the laid potato casserole. This is a Peruvian yellow potato is the main ingredient for this delicacy, because we mentioned that they're producers of potatoes. So you will notice that most of their meals comes along with potato, because they are producers of potatoes. And it's a cold dish with a creamy and a soft consistency, in which the different layers or section hide different types of lovely ingredients, such as the boiled eggs, olives, corn, or avocado, because we said they produce all this. So it's really a meal you would really love to, possibly when you visit any Peruvian. These are part of the meals you should expect to see in that country, because they have very lovely and great delicacies in that country.
Yeah, we have the Peruvian chicken stew. This consists of soup made of milk, chicken, rice, and many other ingredients in that provides a pleasant, spicy, and delicious flavor.
Wow. And I think looking at, we have lots of delicacies here actually coming from there. We also have the hurricane potatoes. This consists of milk, sultan crackers, cheese, and pepper, all blended together in a blender to make it creamy. That is poured over a slice of boiled yellow potatoes, and the plate is usually garnished with lettuce and olives, though the garnish can vary, and you may get slice of boiled eggs or even slice of potatoes. So you see that there are lots of great delicacy in that country. So just in case you find yourself in Peru, I think these are part of the meals you should try. So I think, so let's look at some of their meeting and greetings.
Yes.
So just in case you find yourself in Peru and you're wondering how to, how to behave, because every country have their etiquette when it comes to manners of approach, greetings. So you don't just go and you rush into someone and you don't know the way, the cultures and the way they behave there. So we said the aprazon is the most common greeting between friends and family. This is made up of a handshake and a hug for men, and a kiss on the right cheek between women. So just in case you meet a lady there and you want to, greet her, you know that the kiss is on the right cheek and not on the left cheek. So it's important that you take that to notice, so you don't end up behaving in a way that is rude to them.
Those familiar with each other will also use the nickname or an individual first name. So I'm familiar with you. It's okay for me to use your nickname. What's that, your nickname? Celebobo.
I don't have any for now, but just like you said, just like I mentioned and I said solo, because I'm conversant with you. We've already created a relationship. We're quite close, so I think I could just call you by your name.
Yes, or the surname.
Yes, not my surname, making it look very formal kind of a way. And another thing, Peruvians are very friendly to visitors. So whenever you find yourself in that country, you can be sure that they are hospitable. So they make it the environment accommodative for visitors, and that's why we can see tourists are still going there because of their way of behaving. And we say greetings tend to become warmer as individuals get to know each other. So by the time you get to know people around there, you know that right now you can, make the handshake more warm for them to know that they are welcome.
It is courteous to shake hand both upon meeting and departing, which is very key. Yeah, it's good for you to shake as you are meeting, and then when you are going. Men should not wait for women to extend hand.
Men should wait for women to extend.
Men, yes, should wait for women to extend.
So you don't just shake me, so you wait for me to extend my hand. And then...
in this part of the country, once a woman does that, people see her like, I know when you read that, there's a way, it's like, no, this is not acceptable, like it's disrespectful. But look at them, you wait first for the woman to extend,
Yes, and another etiquette we need to look at is gift giving. Because we know that gifts are not expected. When you go to Peru, they do not expect gift. But if you decide to bring a gift, they bring something such as a fruit or a chocolate or a potted plant. It's something. And another good thing about them is it's normal for Peruvians to open gifts the moment you give them. So they don't just go home and open. The moment you give me a gift, I'll unwrap it, and to be sure, possibly because of security reasons or based on trust, so you're eager to know what is the gift all about.
We look at that, even some African countries have similarities with that. Some you can open it, there's nothing there, and some they feel offensive when you do that immediately, because they are like, okay, allow me to just go before opening, so these are some of their etiquette, so you should take note of that, so that you just don't feel maybe in this part of the world, when presented with a gift, you are not supposed to open it there and then. So how countries, operate, how they go about with their etiquette is very key, because you can just be innocent and then somebody is offensive by your action, maybe simply because of the area which you're coming to them.
Yes, so after mentioning food, so we need to know some of the etiquette that is involved in eating. And one of the first things is you have to wait for your host to sit first, because you never can tell where your host wants you to sit. So you wait for the host to be seated. Whenever you find yourself in Peru, it's important because it's part of a manners that you wait for your host to be seated before you. And another thing, yes, and your hands should be kept visible while eating.
Yes.
So that your host will be sure that he or she is safe.
Yes, you are not holding either gun or knife under the table.
So your hands should be kept on the dining while eating. It's very important.
Do not rest elbow on the table. They find it very, very offensive. The host will say, bon provico, that is, enjoy or have a good meal, as an individual, as an invitation to start eating. So you have to wait, until you hear that. If not, I think the person will pick offense.
Yes, and another thing is polite to try everything that you're giving, because we've mentioned lots of delicacies, and so possibly maybe on your visit to a Peruvian, they have lots of meals. So it's important that you try everything that's given to you.
In trying everything, you have to be careful. And you know what your stomach can accommodate, and then try and explain, because some, joining one, two different things can just mess them up, and then the entire day can just be messy for them. So just know that if you are going, you have to take everything. For people that love, when I go to weddings or parties, you see people like taking what they cannot even finish, and I start wondering.
Possibly I think the manners is for you to try little things. So possibly maybe on the dining table they have fruits, because another thing about Peruvian is that they eat even their fruit with cutleries. So even if the fruit, you cut it with a fork and knife to eat it. So possibly if you can't eat the potato, the dice, the guinea pig and all that, you just try the fruits possibly there are avocado there and other fruits. So you just try it. It's something that will help your tummy to digest whatever you've eaten. And another thing about them is do not use a toothpick at the table. So after eating all the chickens, the guinea pig, do not use the toothpick on the table.
Finally, please.
Yeah.
Excuse yourself.
Exactly.
And use the toothpick, you know. And I think we have one person in this house that is very where he's sitting. Maybe somebody didn't even know, and then you take note. So this it is considered to
clear etiquette. Just eat a little, giving you, making you feel comfortable and all that. But when you clear everything, I think possibly it's being perceived as being rude or being mannerless. So I think it's part of the etiquette we need to learn. Just in case you find yourself anywhere, especially in Peru, you should know how to coordinate yourself and behave well too.
And I've learned a lot, Sele, from this, particularly this last part, learn to live small. You know, I fall in the category that I feel if I live small, you will just feel offended. Like, so this small portion, you cannot finish it. So you are leaving it for me to do what with it?
You know, it's actually part of the culture. They're just like when you go to visit anyone, they feel you leaving a small portion is more like wasting the food because there's food crisis in some parts of the country. But just like we've just learned, it's part of an etiquette there. When you eat, no matter even if it's just a spoon or two, just leave a little. It even makes you look more matured and presentable. I mean, next time your host will feel comfortable inviting you over again. But when you clear everything, I think it's being perceived as I'm not satisfied.
Thank you so much. You stay comment on this particular seller. You are